If you are here today listening to this video, which you are, I want you to know that there is definitely one thing, at least one thing in this video that is specifically for you to hear. Hi, my name is Anna and I'm a clairvoyant psychic. I am here to empower your spiritual journey with psychic insights. This is a collective reading for the collective energy update of March 2025. I see a rose on the outside. Half of it looks golden, actually. And even the texture of it looks like it is made of gold leaves. I guess it makes me think of what I think either the Romans or the Greeks used to wear on their heads, like the material of that gold. That's what I see on the outside of this rose. I'm going to briefly pop in just to comment about this thing that I'm trying to describe, the Greek, Roman, golden thing. So it's actually called a laurel wreath. I just looked it up, and it comes from the Romans adopted from Greek mythology, and it symbolizes triumph, victory, wisdom. And really, in this context, it's a sort of spiritual victory and wisdom. It's about seeing through illusions, through the ego. And you'll see why this is relevant. On the inside, I do see a little bit of white energy. So white represents a little bit of unconsciousness. White is like the energy similar to that when you go into a room and you forget why you're there. So it's unconscious energy. On the other side of the rose, on the other half, I see some gold mixed with purple. This gold is a reminder of who we are, reminder of our divinity. It's like we collectively forgot our source, and we're getting a reminder. We're being reminded of our source, our divine nature. This is where the purple comes in. The purple feels like an expansion. It's very high vibrating. It feels like an expansion. Your limits are going to be expanded. So during this time, your limiting beliefs may be challenged. The way that you see yourself will be challenged because this energy is saying, wake up. Wake up to who you really are. Wake up to why you're here. Wake up to your potential. And it's going to challenge who you think you are, because it's about an expansion of your being. It's an expansion of your mind, of your limits. So if you are someone that has lived quite a limited life, if you're someone that is scared to break through your patterns, and this is all of us, really, we all have fears. We all like to be comfortable, but right now we're going to live through an expansion, which means also that all of the things that you desire, that you want, that you feel deep inside that are yours, are going to come through you. Of course, this isn't going to happen, perhaps without some challenges, some tests, some things to overcome. It really all depends on how willing you are to go with the flow. If you've really learned to go with the flow, to trust the process, this is going to be a very easy ride for you, and it's going to be really fun. If you haven't really learned to go with the process, to go with the flow, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but that's okay. It's part of your journey, and you're still going to get on that ride, to go with the flow. Now, what I do when I do personal psychic readings, if this shows up in your field, the white unconscious energy, which can make you unconscious to a lot of things. It can even make you unconscious to what I'm saying right now. It can make you unconscious to your purpose, to your desires. It can really make it hard for you to see, to have clarity in what you have to do next on your path. So what I do with my clients is that I send Paul, who is a healing master. He's a spirit guide that I work with him when I work with my clients. He goes in your energy field and he sends a healing. He shifts energy. A healing means that he shifts the energy. He shifts the white energy out of your field so that you can have clarity, so that you can get rid of that unconscious energy. So that's what I do in my private psychic reading sessions. If you want to check that out, I'm gonna put a link down below. So when I look at where we are collectively in terms of our spiritual journey, in terms of our walking down our path, is that we're kind of trying to avoid going directly on that spiritual path collectively. We're trying to avoid to really look at the light, see the light, and go towards the light. We're really trying to avoid. So we're trying to go a little bit like this. It's really an avoidance. It's part of a pattern, a collective pattern, to really be drawn towards suffering. I know that probably sounds silly. Well, we think we're avoiding suffering, right, by going like this, because sometimes seeing the light means also to see the darkness, and that means pain and suffering as well, right? So we kind of try to avoid that pain and suffering, and we try to go like this because we think it's actually easier, but actually this just makes it harder and adds more pain and suffering. So that is why. Okay. Now let's look at how this is going to impact you as an individual on a personal level. And then we're going to look to see how this will impact the collective, how it's going to impact all of us on a collective level. So we're going to look within what happens, and then we're going to look without. Okay, so the first thing that I see within is this affects the crown, and it looks orange to me right now. So let's see what this means. So I guess what this color means in this position here on the crown is that it's going to make you ask a lot of questions, like, who am I? Who am I? It's going to cause a little bit of confusion, actually, is what I see. So again, to tie this back to what I was saying earlier, we are now in a period of expansion where we are connecting deeper to our true nature, to our source. And it seems that for some of us collectively, on an inner level, it might confuse us a little bit and make us actually feel perhaps disconnected. But this is only so that we can break through and really connect to the source, to the very source, because we may think at times that we are connected. We may think that we are aligned, but that's not it. And so what this energy is doing that's on our crown is that it is really pushing us to connect to the very source, to the purest source there is. So it really is, it's funny because now I see in my mind's eye like a funnel. It's like a funnel. So it really, it connects us to the source, to the purest source. And there won't be any confusion as to whether you really are connected to the source or what you're connected to, or there will be no doubt. And the other thing that I see is that this is going to clear up any, this is a force of clarity again. It's going to clear up any practices that we may have done, teachings or false understandings that we may have about your spirituality, your connection to source. It's going to really clean up any misunderstandings that you have. Yeah, it's a force of clarity. Yeah, so collectively, I do see this white unconscious energy really around this area, so really around the third eye, which makes it hard for us to see beyond. And again, if you are interested and if you think that you are one of those people that have a lot of unconscious energy, you feel lost, confused, you can check out my psychic readings, as we can work together to clean that up. Okay, so I see in the throat, I see dark magenta color. What I get from this color is really a lot of it's a lot of joy in communication, a lot of joy, a lot of pleasure and joy that comes from communication, from speaking out your truth. So it may become easier for you to communicate to others things that you want, that you desire, or who you are. It's going to be easier to speak your truth and more enjoyable as well. I get this feeling of, I don't know why this came in my mind, candy. Like, it feels like I'm eating candy. That's what this color makes me think of and feel. So there's something pleasurable about it, something sweet about it, something fruity about this energy in the throat, and it does feel like something that's like coming out. So it's like really expressing, let's say, the sweetness of your truth, the sweetness of your being, the sweetness of your essence with others. So if you feel drawn to tell someone something nice, maybe you go get your regular coffee and the barista has really nice nails or something, compliment them. Or if someone's wearing really nice clothes and you're admiring them, go tell them. Yeah, that's what comes to mind with this energy. Around the chest, I see almost like a cloak, a light blue cloak, like something that you're wearing around here, and it looks light blue, and it has tints of turquoise greenish on it as well. This cloak, cape, I don't know what to call it. So what this energy represents is really, it feels very soft, it feels light. It's about a being light. It's funny because just yesterday I came across this quote. I just loved it, really resonated with me. Perhaps it's because I'm drawing from this collective energy, that's why it resonated with me. It was about the lightness of being. It said tread, I don't remember exactly, but it said tread lightly, walk lightly, be light. Whatever it is that you are doing, do it lightly. If you're struggling, do it lightly. There's this lightness of being. here in this heart center, it really is about learning how to be with yourself. Because we really are so harsh with ourselves. We really hold ourselves to these impossible standards. We really can be extremely mean with ourselves. So be light with yourself, be kind, be gentle. The way that you learn, this is a learning process, being light with yourself. But this process of learning to be light with yourself, to be gentle, really stays with you. It's something that you take with you after death. It creates a structure inside your being, this gentleness. And you take this with you. It's something that stays with you. So it's really worth it. Okay, when I look here at the solar plexus, it looks very tight and small. So what does this mean? The first things that pop up for me, well, a few things pop up. It feels like you are waiting for others to validate you, to validate your worthiness, to validate you as a human being, to validate your new identity, actually, to validate who you're growing to be. So we're going back to this expansion. Through this expansion that we talked about at the beginning, you are growing into someone else. Your sense of identity is shifting. It's evolving, it's growing. So maybe you saw yourself, your sense of identity was, I deserve to be in a relationship with someone that maybe doesn't really treat me right, but whatever, they treat me okay. But now you're growing from that identity into your potential, which is, I deserve to be with someone that loves me unconditionally and that offers me everything that I desire, that is there for me. And there's this sense of really expansion. So it's like you're waiting for others to validate this change in you. You want them to see this change in you. But you have to understand that you don't need someone's exterior validation in order for you to change, to really become this new person that you're becoming. It's something that happens and you don't need their validation. And the other thing that comes up here is, don't be afraid to be someone different with the same old people. Even if your identity is changing, it's expanding. Perhaps you are and they're not yet. Don't be afraid to express who you are now. Do it. It comes back, it's somehow related now to the throat, to this expression of the sweetness of your being. So express your new expanded self. Oh wow. This is very interesting. When I look into the sacral, the second energy center, I see almost like a portal. It looks orange, and I just intuitively know it is tied to the crown. It is tied to this openness of connection to source, to the most pure source. It looks a little bit like this funnel that I saw, actually, and it's in the second energy center. Let's see what this means. Again, I don't know if I mentioned this. I think I said it. Looks like a portal. Okay, so this actually, it's funny because I recently got into Kabbalah, and they talk a lot about the vessel. And they say that you can receive, okay, they use the analogy of a light bulb. Actually, this is from David Guillaume. I do want to give him credit for this. So he gives the analogy of a light bulb. If you have a 60-watt light bulb, but you give it 1,000 watts, the light bulb, the vessel, isn't going to be able to take the light of 1,000 watts, the energy. It's not going to be able to take it. It's going to explode. So in order, a lot of people, he says, is they ask for more light, more energy. And he says that it's not about receiving more light. It's about expanding the vessel to receive more light. And so what I'm getting here in this is that it basically the message is expand your vessel. Your vessel is related to your lower energy centers. For some reason it shows up as the second energy center. The second energy center for me has to do with creativity, emotions, and sexual energy. So I do think this has to do, intuitively I'm being drawn to emotions. So this is about expanding, emotionally expanding the vessel. So it's about what you can tap into emotionally. So it's also about clearing, having an emotional cleanse, clearing lower, denser emotions that are stuck in the body, expanding the vessel so that it may match what it is receiving from source, this pure energy. There's this, I see this kind of like what's the word? I can't get the word, but a balance, an equilibrium between what comes down and what is down. I don't know if that makes any sense. Between what is up and what is down. Yes, so the message here really is to expand the vessel. And I do highly recommend Kabbalah teachings. I've only recently got into them, but they're really, really cool. For the first energy center, what I see is a very deep, and it also feels like certainty and like rootedness. I literally see the first energy center being very deep into the ground, rooted, and I see its roots expanding, going deep into the ground. I see this deep sense of certain rootedness, groundedness. And the message that I get here is that being grounded, being rooted, being connected to the earth, there's a sense of darkness here. I really get from this that being grounded may not be, like exciting, or, when you have a mystical experience, it's so exciting and so, wow. What I'm getting is that being grounded is the opposite of that. It's actually quite boring. There's nothing interesting there. But what I'm getting is don't underestimate that feeling of certainty, of groundedness. It's extremely important, and it's not all about excitedness and crazy experiences. Sometimes it's about a very simple, centered feeling of groundedness, and that is just as important. Okay, wonderful. I would like to now look at the collective energy centers of the planet and how this may affect us on a collective level. I'm not going to go through every center individually. I'm just going to ask for the most important one or two to light up to see what is going on. Okay, so what lit up, I'm actually not surprised, but there will be obviously correlations between the two things that I said. Because as within, so without. So the first part was about what's happening for you individually on the inner level, and then the second is more about what's happening globally. But obviously, there's going to be correlations between those two, as this is a collective energy update. So the two energy centers that really are coming up is the first energy center and the third energy center, so the root chakra and the solar plexus. So collectively, people are trying to feel. So the first energy center has to do with survival, with basic needs, with shelter, food, water. And it looks like we're trying to ground into the air. We're trying to collectively ground, feel safe, get our survival from the air. It feels like the roots are growing out of the earth. So instead of going in, we're going out, collectively speaking. Let me tie it to the solar plexus, because the solar plexus has a lot to do with identity, with ego. Not ego in a bad way, just with our sense of identity, with also with self-awareness. So if we look at the consciousness of each energy level, the first energy center is the consciousness of survival. So, and then as you go higher into the third comes the consciousness of self-awareness. So you could say that we started off early humans, we started off on the first, the second energy center consciousness, as we used to be very tied to the tribe. Our survival depended on the tribe. And then later, as we become more individualistic societies, more about independence, then we go into the third consciousness level, which can become, to the extreme, very egotistical. So I'm seeing the first and the third light up. It feels like we forgot our base. We forgot who we are on the first energy center. Every energy center has a reality that needs to be integrated and accepted. So even if we are not collectively or you individually at the first energy center, that is a reality within you that is true. The first energy center, the consciousness level of that energy center. And that is that you have a body with basic needs. You need shelter, water, food to survive. And again, it feels like we are not grounded into that reality of the first energy center. And it makes me think of this influencer from in Instagram. Well, I don't know, I'm sure he wouldn't describe himself as an influencer, but he created this method of, I guess, imitating gorillas, monkeys, where we really kind of connect with our animal self. We connect, and through that we connect to the earth. And that's what I'm getting to with this. I feel like that's more what we need, connection with the earth on a collective level. I mean, we all live in flats, in apartments, and we're looking at screens all day long. Of course, we're disconnected from Earth. Of course. So yeah, so these two things are connected: the first energy center and the solar plexus, the third energy center, because this disconnection from from the roots of who we are, of that consciousness level, makes it hard for us to understand who we are as individuals. So we feel a little bit lost. I think that this is also why in society, globally, more people resonate with very right-wing nationalists, rhetorics in politics. They resonate with this because people feel lost. They don't know who they are. So these kind of rhetorics gives them a sense of certainty. Okay, this is who I am. And they'd rather feel, even if it can be abusive to certain minorities, people prefer to have the sense of certainty, unfortunately, which is fake, because they've lost their connection to the earth. And this is why the solar plexus suffers as well. It just feels very small. I think a lot of people feel probably very, very small. And when you have someone with a political campaign that makes you feel big and strong, I'm sure you'll know what I'm talking about, and great. You resonate with it, of course. And but also that is a fake sense of who you are. It's not really because it comes from the outside. So in order to strengthen, I guess, collectively our individuality, we have to be more connected to the earth. So let's recap everything. The collective message for everyone at the beginning was about an expansion. An expansion, let's call it a spiritual expansion, of really understanding who we are, connecting to the source, the most pure source. And from this comes an expansion of who we are as a person. It's about an expansion of limits and of going beyond who we thought we are. So this really means that we're going to step into our potential. We're going to manifest more abundance, to manifest more love and health, and really step into our power. So then we also talked about, on an individual level, how this affects us on every part of our life. And most importantly, what really stood out for me was the vessel. It was really about expanding the vessel in order to receive all of this abundance, all of this, to receive that pure light. And lastly, we talked about what is going on collectively on the planet. We kind of identified our main issue, which is that we're not connected to Earth, and we need more of that pure connection collectively. I do wonder how that would look like, though. I do see just more outdoor activity, more connection between people and communities, rather than, well, I guess through, social media channels and stuff and internet. But I really do see more of that connection. I imagine people connecting to Earth and, I don't know, climbing trees, whatever. Okay, thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate you. And if you enjoyed this, give it a like, give it a comment, let me know what you thought. And you can check out my website and my Instagram below. Thank you.